I remember the early years when I sensed the call of God upon my life. This was far back, like 10 years ago. And I was just that young girl that just loved God. I just wanted to live a normal life and probably in the later years of my life be a philanthropist. That was the height of what I wanted to be. Like, okay, I was going to be a very successful person, love God, serve God, and just be a philanthropist. But then, as a young child, as a young girl I was, in my teenage years, I sensed God was calling me to do what exactly? I'm but just a child. And I remember that season of my life, and I felt so unqualified. I felt so non needed. I felt like I'm not the one. I felt like I had nothing to offer. I felt like I don't know what it is that God really wants from me. I don't know why it's me. Why does it have to be me? I remember those times I had a lot of questions I wanted to ask God, and times I would literally write those things, write them out. Like, God, you got to answer these things. Like, why me? But seriously, most of the time, we always, at one point of our lives or the other, this may not be general for everyone, but for most of us, we get to that point and we feel like we are not the man for the job. We feel like we are not qualified for what God is calling us into. We feel like we don't have what it takes to do that work, just like Gideon, just like David, just like Moses, just like Joseph, a lot of them in the scriptures. And we feel these people do not really look like it. That was what exactly I was. I did not look like it. Aside a lot of things that I felt disqualified me, I was just but a young person. And I was like, why would God be so particular about me? Now the younger folks out there, why will he want to use just a child? And then one thing led to the other. And thank God for my mentors. I remember going to one of my mentors those days, and I would tell him, I don't think I can do this thing. I think I would just run away. There are times I will pretend, I did not hear God. There are days I will try to ignore. There are even days I will be like, no. Since it's like I have to, is when I go to fellowship, he gets to tell me stuff. Then I will stop my prayer times. I was intentionally running away from these things. Like, literally, I stopped doing a lot of spiritual things just to make God see me as unserious. But still, God was still so particular about me. My story was just like Moses telling God, I am but a stammerer. Of course, I've heard that, you're so mighty. I know this is what you want to do, and you got to do it anyway. But if you're going to use this vessel, I am not qualified. And that was what I kept on telling God over and over and over again. It was just as if God was just so adamant, and it was just so, it has to be you. And here we are today, fast forward to 10 years after. And day by day, it's just a new me, evolving. And I just looked back and I just wonder at how God has just made this girl named Grace. No wonder my name is Grace. And everything I just see is just about the grace of God. And I'm about to tell you about something. This started a few years ago. God placed a burden in my heart with some of my friends while then in uni. So we started this prayer for school. Then it was nothing like it was just a desire just to pray. We just wanted to just pray, and at other days we evangelize, we talk to people, and that was it. So after school, everyone went for service, everyone traveled back, and we were still in connection, but that was no longer a topic. That was just in uni, we were like, that's just in uni and that is done for uni, right? But God was not done with us. God wasn't done with us. Last year, God brought us back together. And I was like, that thing you guys started in uni, You have to do it again. And like, what was that? Like, to us, we were not really, we were just doing us. We were just being us. And we did not know that God really took note of that, because we did it throughout our stay in uni. Like night, midnight prayers, a lot of things, evangelizing, and a lot of things we did back then. And you know, the things you just do, and like, God is not aware. We thought that was one of those things until God visited us last year. I was like, I saw it all. And you guys, I'm actually in days with you. And fast forward to a lot of things. And last year we started a movement. Yeah, let me call it a movement, because I don't know the right words to call it. You know, a lot of people have asked me, is it a ministry, is it an NGO? Well, I know it's a movement. It's a movement because I remember one of the revelation God showed me, one of those things, because one of the gifts I have is I see. So I remember one of those things it showed me was, there was a particular time, a particular day, I was just so there was a point in my life that I stayed in a mission house. I wasn't a missionary then, okay? But I think I am now, but I wasn't then. So there was this particular day I was just in a mission house, and I was just there. I was the only one in the whole apartment, and I was like, wow, this is the best time to fellowship. And I just wanted to just, you know, not really pray. I just wanted to just worship God and just be there on the ground, you know, that kind of worship. And that was just the posture I assumed. And I was right there, and I don't know, somehow I just fell into a trance, and I saw a very beautiful scene. And even though later it kind of gets scary, but it was actually a very beautiful scene. So let me tell you about it. So I saw okay, let me try and keep it short. Okay, so I saw that I was with an angel who later I knew to be Jesus. Okay, we were on a mountain, and I saw, like, down the mountain on the valley, I saw a lot of young people, like young, so young, like in the teenage years. So I saw them so strong, so bold, so confident, and I saw them, you know, the strength of the younger people, you know, like and I was just wondering, well, what's happening, what's going on? And it just told me they're going for war. I was like, war? What? Number one, why are they so happy? Number two, how are they going to win this war? They're just but a child. And I was like, who is really going to fight these children? Because to me, they were like children. So they're just going to fight these children. They are too young to go to war. I was like, you're going to see what's happening. And the next thing I saw at the other side was a thick darkness. That was all I saw. And I was just waiting for an army to emerge from the darkness, and I was just waiting, and I was just, you know, looking at the angel's face, and I was like, nothing is happening. I was like, that's what they're warring against. I was like, what's that? Just a thick darkness? He said, yes. That is what this generation are really warring against. And you see this army that are so bold, they are so confident, they are really going to win this battle. And how they really win this battle is fighting back darkness with their light. And a lot of things, you know, happen. Not to bore you, a lot of things happen, and that was just how I came out of the trance. And I was like, what's this? And the next thing I heard was that you're going to lead that army. You're going to train that army for me, because I'm going to come for them very soon, and you guys are going to do wondrous things together. And I was like, okay. This was 3 years ago. And the me, because I always write down stuff, because I see a lot, I hear things, so I'm always with my pen, jotter, stuff like that. So I wrote it down. I wrote the whole experience, I wrote it down. But I did not really do anything with it. I was like, okay, if it's God, He's going to tell me what next to do. So I just kept it, and that was it. But sometimes last year, God brought it back to my mind, and brought back what we were doing in uni back to my mind, and all of other things. And everyone started coming with confirmations. I said this, I saw this. I was like, okay. So one thing led to the other. We got the leading to get registered last year as the Flint Forge. I know probably you might have been seeing us around the Flint Forge, and if you're wondering what is the Flint Forge, what are they about? It's the teens movement. It's the teens movement, the movement of God's army. And what God is really doing with this army is really going to be equipping them by himself. This army are going to be fighting darkness in all structures of life, and they are going to prevail with their light. And one of the many things God has told us to do is to start a yearly boot camp. And this is going to be our first edition. This is the first boot camp ever that we're going to be starting, that we're going to be having. And it is coming up this year, August of this year. Can you imagine? It's just a month and some change away from here. So that's the first boot camp ever we'll be having. Last year we had a conference, we had a seminar, we had some visitations of villages. We did a little bit of every other things. We've been on daily prayers, Bible studies. We'll be doing lots of things, But next year, you guys need to watch out for us. So I'm here to invite you. To specially invite you to this year's August boot camp. It's the Peace Boot Camp, tagged It's in You. And this boot camp is it's also going to be explosive. I can really feel it, like right now. I can really feel it, because it's this time that God is really going to be, God's going to be releasing out instructions. People are going to get strengthened. There's going to be clarity. Is there any area of your life at all, and you're like, this is what God has said to me, this is what I know God is saying to me, or you just lack direction, you don't even know what God is even saying at all? Come to the August boot camp. Come to the Peace Boot Camp. One thing God has assured us in this year's camp is He'll be giving men and women direction. It's going to be bringing clarity. It's going to be bringing direction. It's going to be bringing strength and empowerment onto everyone that connects to this year's boot camp. So if you're that person, you're a young person, you're a teenager, as I said earlier, as I shared my story earlier, this calling of the Lord has no age. It has no age tag. So whenever you find yourself, you even could be a business person, this is what God is calling you into. God is calling you to fashion. God is calling you to tech or high tech. God is calling you to something. You can sense this call, these giftings, the things God is saying to you. You can, you see these things in your dream, and you're like, how is this going to happen? How can this thing be just like Mary? In this year's boot camp, one thing God is promising us is direction, is clarity, is guidance, is equipment, is empowerment. And I cannot wait to see you there. And that's why God is really helping us this year. So there's really nothing stopping you from being this year's boot camp, because there's free accommodation and there's free transportation to everyone coming within Abeokuta and outside of Abeokuta. In Lagos State, to be precise, in Lagos and Abeokuta, there's going to be provision for free transportation and accommodation, so that you can stay and be in the presence of God for 3 whole days. Like any other day, it's going to be that turning point for you. And in this year's August boot camp, we are having amazing ministers coming to bless our souls. Imagine we are having Reverend Shobowale, Pastor Mrs. Shobowale, we are having Pastor Tola Oyenekon, we are having Mrs. Hilda, we are having Apostle Jacob Bakut, we are having Pastor David. Oh my God, you cannot afford to miss this year's boot camp for anything. Plus, don't forget to tell someone, to invite your friends, family, everyone you love so much. I cannot wait to see you in August. See you there.